I'm going to take a few minutes to tell you why sexual education is important and why we should have it in schools. Being a woman and having to experience going through puberty and all the pressures of sex, I feel sex education is very important. Take a minute and think back to when you were a teen. Have you ever had a question about sex or puberty that you didn't feel comfortable asking your parents? Wouldn't it have been nice to have had an educated person to talk to? Some parents would argue that sexual education will increase sexual activity in teens, but let me tell you a little secret. Keeping children ignorant of sex does not protect or keep them from having sex. Kids will still find information and access about sex. Wouldn't you want it to be the right information? Teaching sexual education in schools can benefit our children in many ways. Increasing young people's knowledge can improve their sexual and reproductive health. It will teach boys and girls how to identify and when to report sexual abuse. It will also help them understand the changes they go through during puberty and how to deal with the stress that comes with it. First, let's talk about how increasing young people's knowledge can improve their sexual and reproductive health. According to spokesman.com, supporters have argued that comprehensive sexual education keeps students safer and allows them to make healthier decisions when it comes to sex. In this chart, by the time students have reached the 12th grade, the majority have had sexual intercourse. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, 1 in 4 sexually active adolescents have had a sexually transmitted infection. 1 in 7 people in the U.S. are living with HIV, and half are unaware that they are even infected, as shown above in this chart. If you're not familiar with issues that come with STDs, then how are you to know that you need to be tested? If taught about sexual infections and diseases, it could stop the spread of them, or better yet, prevent people from becoming infected in the first place. When students feel more informed, they tend to make safer and healthier choices. We will see fewer pregnancies and more protection against STDs. Now that we have talked about how increasing their knowledge can improve their health, let's talk about how sexual education could help someone recognize or report sexual abuse. As shown in this chart, about 1 in 9 girls and 1 in 53 boys will be sexually abused before their 18th birthday, with 34% being under the age of 12 and 66% ranging from ages 12 to 17. Now look at this chart. 93% are known to the victim. 7% are strangers, 59% are acquaintances, and 34% are family members. Learning simple things about sexual abuse could make such a big difference. It could help children identify what is acceptable and what needs to be reported. If they are not taught what is right, they may grow up thinking that the abuse they are experiencing is normal. Children who are taught about preventing and reporting sexual abuse are more likely to tell an adult if they are being abused. The effects of childhood sexual abuse can be long-lasting. They are more likely to develop drug abuse and depressive disorders. They are also less likely to have healthy future relationships. The first time a person receives a lesson about sexual consent or sexual abuse should not be during their freshman orientation in college. By then, it may be too late. It is important to arm them with the knowledge they need to stay safe at a young age. Now that we have talked about sexual education and how it can improve reproductive health, and we've also talked about how it can teach kids to report sexual abuse, let's talk about how sexual education can help with their transition into puberty. According to kidshealth.org, children as young as 10 to 14 years old are going through puberty. These children are going to have questions. We need to normalize the process so that they don't abnormalize themselves. They need to learn what to expect and how to manage the physical and emotional changes that are taking over their bodies. This will help them be less self-conscious, learning what to expect about their cycle, body growth, voice changes, body hair, body odor, and even their mood. They may feel uneasy about all these changes. They need to be educated about how these changes are normal and how to deal with them. Kids have questions they don't want to talk to their parents or peers about. Sexual education could answer their question without them feeling like they are being put on the spot. It can be hard to deal with all of these new emotions and feeling all these things that they have never felt before. Why not give them the help that they need to make this transition easier? Now you can see there are a lot more things that come with sexual education than just having sex. You can see why it is beneficial to our children. Sexual education can increase their knowledge on reproductive health. It can help a child know when and how to report sexual abuse. And sexual education can help make the transition into puberty easier. We would like our children to live in a bubble, wouldn't we? But we have to face reality. Our babies have to grow up. And it's our job as parents to suit our children with the best armor there is, and that's education. We can do this by keeping sexual education in schools.